Proudly African.
Authentically you.
Proud of Africa is for every LGBTQ plus person on the continent. We form part of an inclusive, multifaceted community that builds individuals and collectives' prides beyond the pride celebrations, liberating every person in our diverse community to live their most authentic life. Building on last year's successful event, we are here again hosting the Proud of Africa Lifestyle Conference. The event will see experts facilitate key discussions around the relevance of wellness, gender identity, and diversity in the workplace, with an authentic and positive message for everyone. With me today, we have two very exciting ladies, Lulu Blue and Betty Bangles. So a lot of questions are always asked when it comes to drag artists, and what does it entail in terms of that transition from your natural person to persona? I have a privilege of asking the questions most of you thought of to these lovely ladies. Maybe before we start, tell us a bit about yourselves.
Sure. Do you want to go first?
Well, I'm Betty Bangles, and I'm obviously a drag queen, if you haven't noticed. Part-time drag queen, part-time hairstylist, basically. Part-time fabulous.
All-time fabulous. My name is Lulu Blue. I am a makeup artist. I am a trainer, an educator, and I do drag part-time as well.
Fantastic. So, love performing? That's how it all came together? Or?
That's my reason why I started.
Absolutely, yeah.
From I can remember, I lived for theatre. My parents took me to the State Theatre for a show. I was 6 years old, and I was hooked. I was like captivated by what's going on stage, and I knew that's where I wanted to be. And after school, they said, "Okay, what are you going to study?" I'm like, "Drama." I'm like, "No, that's not a job." So, coming from a small town, the only jobs is either a teacher, doctor, or a policeman. So I became a hairdresser. And I went to a club, and that's where I saw drag for the first time, and I was like, it's magical, and that's what I want to do.
Right. My story is quite similar, actually. I was a professional dancer for 14 years. I had studied drama as well, just like Betty, and I was a makeup artist, so it all came together in one, hopefully beautiful package as a drag artist. And I've been doing it for about 6 years now. And it is the most fun that you can have without taking your clothes off. It really, really is.
I'll have to take your word. Because getting into heels and a dress,
no, listen,
not my cup of tea.
I didn't say it was easy. It is fun, but it takes a long time. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
And you have to really mentally prepare for the character that you're about to become. So it's time consuming.
I want to go back quickly. So you say the first time you were theatre, 6 years old with your parents. How did your parents take Bernard becoming Betty?
It was a long road. I came out when I was 19. I was a year out of school, and I actually wrote them a letter to say, like, listen, yeah, I'm gay, because I didn't know how to tell them. Like I said, I come from a small town, very conservative. My dad's a farmer, so this is far from what they thought I'm going to be. And so I gave the letter to my sister and like, read it, and if you think it's fine, give it to mom. So a week went past and I didn't hear from them. And then my mom phoned me, and tears and drama and blah, blah, blah. And so, but the first thing she said was like, I will always love you. You're my child, I will always love you. I don't understand it, but I will always love you. And they took me to pastors and psychologists and trying to fix me, but in a loving way, if that makes sense. And I remember my mom saying one day, I understand you're gay, please just never wear a dress. And then already I was doing shows. I was like, okay, I won't. And then I think about 2 years after that, I sat her down. I'm like, listen, I need to tell you something. And I explained to her, I do shows, this is why I do it. And she understood it. Because, I mean, it's only a character, and that's how I explained it to her. Yeah, I don't do this because I want to be a woman. And yeah, fast forward a couple of years later, she made a dress for me.
Okay, that's acceptance.
Yes, it certainly is.
And you? Was it
Well,
easy?
Yes, actually. About 15 years ago, my mom said to me, I don't think I'd love you as much if you were straight. So I don't know. Maybe it's a mother-son thing. I don't know. Maybe that's a really strong connection. But they took it really, really well, actually, and have been incredibly supportive in everything that I've done. My father less so, but over the years he's come around to the concept of me adopting a persona. But my mom certainly really has been very supportive, and I have the most incredible friends and family who are supportive as well. So it was a fairly easy transition for me from non-drag to drag.
So next question I have. So it's Bernard to Betty, Robin to Lulu.
Right.
The work that goes into that. I mean, we're talking shaving,
Yeah.
lashes,
It's a long list.
tucking.
I always say drag is so much fun. Getting into drag, not so much. It's a 2-hour process, which is every time before a show, I'm like, ugh. Okay, let's just.
Yeah. It's a lot
And
of
then
work.
as you do it, with every line, Betty comes out and the character comes out, and when you're done, you're ready.
So is there a very big mental shift from Robin to Lulu?
Yes. I would say that Lulu is quite different from Robin. I'm quite a shy person as Robin, actually. I'm fairly introverted, and Lulu's exactly the opposite. She's super confident. She thinks she's very sexy. Hopefully she is. What do you think?
She has gorgeous legs.
She thinks a lot.
She thinks a lot. But she is quite different from Robin. So it is a mental process. And as Bernard was saying, Betty was saying, it takes a while for that character to start coming through. But with every part of the drag, getting into drag experience, that character comes through a little bit more strongly. Personally, for me, I don't feel like Lulu unless I've got my tights and my heels on. Until then, I'm still Robin. But once those tights and heels are on, Lulu's in the house.
Totally. I can have a full face on and I'm still Bernard.
Right.
But once the wig is on and the heels are on, then you're Betty.
Yeah.
And I think
It's
that's
quite weird.
to touch on that as well. I think that's the reason behind a lot of people that do drag. We're generally very shy. And this is almost like a mask that you put on to do and say what you are thinking. But you're too shy to say or too shy to do. I can't get onto stage and perform when I'm not Betty.
Right.
I will die.
Yeah.
And Bernard has to do it sober.
Yeah, well, Betty do it sober as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was heavy into drugs and everything, and it's a whole dark road. And I remember it's now 9 years that I'm sober. My first, thank you. My first show, I was terrified because I was used to, before I go on stage, take a tequila and a line, and that's how I performed. And my first sober show, I was terrified because how am I going to do it sober?
You also don't drink.
Yeah, we both don't drink or smoke or do any drugs.
How boring.
Well, it's, you know what? I've never felt more alive.
Okay.
Actually.
And how long have you been sober?
I've been sober for about 7 years and smoke free for about 12. Yes, it's different. It's different performing intoxicated versus performing straight. I don't think I could ever take a drink now and get on stage. I think I'd fall off the stage actually.
But I fall down sober as well. So
Yeah.
it's like
In heels like this, it happens.
I'm very top heavy,
But yeah.
bottom heavy as well.
But one thing I do need to tell.
One thing I need to ask.
Oh, sure. But can I go first?
Never-
Sorry, that's
never
Lulu
interrupt
coming
her.
through. One thing
Like I was saying,
one thing that we do, and we both feel very strongly about this, we do want people to know is that just because you drag, it doesn't mean that you necessarily want to be a female, because I'm very happy with my gender. And people get confused between the two very, very quickly and very easily. They think that you want to be female. I definitely don't want to be a female. I love females, but I'm very happy being male. This is an art form. It's a way of expressing myself. And the beautiful thing about it is that once this is done, it all comes off and my life goes on as Robin. And that's just the way I like it.
And Robin is in a loving relationship.
Robin is not in a relationship, and that is the way it's going to stay.
He just loves himself.
I love myself, and that's just the way it's going to
Okay,
stay.
so going back to my original question that I wanted to ask. Part of the process from Robin, Bernard to Lulu, Betty, and everyone's curious about this, and we don't ask it often
I'm
enough.
just going to ask.
And we also don't know. No one gives us a straight answer. Let's talk about tucking.
Okay?
Sure.
Is it painful?
Yes.
No.
Well, I have a huge penis, so yes.
You know what they say when people keep saying that?
So Betty says no, Robin says yes.
No.
That's individual.
It's very uncomfortable.
It's not painful.
Okay.
It's just uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable.
Do you get used to it?
Yeah, you do.
So is it true? Do you have to tape, or is that a myth?
No,
No, I don't.
depends. I mean,
If you know what you're doing.
God gave, well, not God, McDonald's gave me a big stomach. So luckily, and I always have like big flowy dresses, so I don't need to do a tape tuck.
Okay.
But when you do like a leotard or swimwear or stuff like that, then you need to tape.
Flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But luckily, I don't need to do that.
Yeah, I do a lot of shows in very little,
Yes.
and the majority of my costumes are either leotards or very, very tight dresses, so I have to tuck very, very properly. But I've never taped, because if you've ever had to tape your penis to the back of your buttocks, you will realize that you have to take it off
At some point.
at some point, and it's that process that is incredibly painful. So we don't do that. So I just use very, very tight underwear, a couple of layers, and everything stays in place throughout the dance show completely for an hour.
Yeah.
So
They
it's all
call
good.
it a gaff.
Okay.
So it's,
Yeah.
it's basically like almost like a jock strap,
Yeah.
but there's a harder piece of material, and that keeps everything flat. So there's no camel toe.
Yeah. It's like male dancers wearing a dance belt, but just much tighter. So
Does it
that
have a
keeps
pop?
everything.
Yes.
Yes, it does. You can have an accident. But as I say in my show, if anything does pop out, just grab it and pull. And you should be fine. Yeah. But
So
it
it's
is.
not like someone's going to be shocked that we're men.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
That'd be short.
Well, a testicle popping out might not be the most exciting
No.
thing. But yes, it definitely becomes less uncomfortable the longer you do it, and your body gets used to it. The funny thing is that I don't know if it's the same for you, but once you're on stage, you feel no pain. You can have the biggest wee that you need to have, but when you're on stage, you feel nothing. All you're thinking about is performing and
when you take
projecting.
it off,
When
it's like,
you hit the backstage, it's not. And yes, detucking is quite painful. Yeah, because everything's been in a very specific place with lots of underwear, so it can be quite
Circulation.
painful.
it's like when you take your shoes off after a very long day. It's like it's painful but so good.
Truth about
It's the
lesbians,
same.
we wear very comfortable shoes.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot.
Okay, that's a very, very interesting, honest answer.
Sure.
So let's talk quickly about your performances.
Sure.
I know you've performed internationally.
Yes, yeah, I was very lucky to perform at World Pride last year in New York City. That was
So we have a celebrity.
and that was an amazing experience. And to perform at Stonewall where Pride started, that was very
It's
emotional.
a special.
Yeah.
I've performed internationally as well in Spain and France and Italy. So not very much, but I've dipped my toe. And if anyone has a gig, I'm available. But yes, we do mostly local shows in various venues, obviously. But we are resident drag artists at a place called Beefcakes, which is a 50s diner restaurant.
And in your personal capacity, you do other things or just drag?
So I am an education lead for a cosmetics company. So, which is why I said early on in the interview that everything has come together full circle. I've got the makeup experience, I've got the ability to speak in front of people, which I'm very comfortable doing. I'm a dancer, I'm a makeup artist, so everything came together in one sort of space where I could express myself in this art form. And I only started doing drag very late, only 6 years ago.
Oh.
So I've had to work really, really hard to catch up to everybody else that's been doing it for a long time. You know, because people are very, very. I didn't say you were old. I said you've been doing it. 30
You have
years.
practice.
20. Well, 19, 20 next year.
Yeah. But honestly, I think what drag has done for me is given me an incredible amount of confidence. As Robin, actually, as well. I've really grown in terms of confidence. And we were just saying earlier, I feel I'm very proud of what I do, because to do this takes balls. Excuse the pun, but it takes balls to get up in drag and do a performance in front of people you don't know.
Right. And a lot of your audience is straight.
Most are straight, yes.
How do straight men?
They're absolutely fine. You know, it's how you make people feel. This is the metaphor for life, really. People are going to treat you in a way that is how you make them feel. So we always try and set people at ease in our shows, so that people feel sort of unthreatened, because men can feel threatened, but it's the women that feel threatened.
Yeah.
So you will see a straight couple, and she'll be holding on quite strongly to her husband, and she has really nothing to worry about. So it's about setting the tone for the show, and you should have no problem.
We actually, on Saturday night, after the show, a guy, not a gay,
It was a Freudian
a
slip.
straight guy came to me after the show, and he's like, I just want to tell you, me and my friend is very straight, and we brought our friend here tonight because she took us for my birthday to tease us, and we thought for her birthday we're going to treat her and bring her to beefcakes. And I just want to tell you, it's the most fun we've had in a long time. And that coming from a 20-something straight butch guy. Yeah, it's one of the best compliments, I think.
Yeah, and it is about that, because I had can I be frank? Great, because I'm going to be anyway.
Are you frank?
Are you frank?
Well, not at the moment. I'm not frank, but I had a waiter come up to me a couple of years ago and said, "You give me a very awkward boner." He said that to me, and again, it was a huge compliment, because he was saying, well, I don't know how huge it was, but it was good, because for me, for Lulu, it's all about being fishy, and when I say that, I mean as a woman. So if I'm being that, and
You're doing something right.
I'm doing something right, because I'm turning him on in a certain way. So it is a compliment. But the thing about drag is that you shouldn't subscribe to one particular type of drag. Drag is so intensely personal. My drag is different from Betty's, and is different from everybody else's. It's about a persona that you create, and it takes years to craft that persona.
Yeah. So
It's
just
very
like
important.
before we end, like the thing is, like, people always ask me, so what can you and what can't you do in drag? I always say there's no rules.
Yeah.
Because it's your character that you created. So who's anyone to tell you that, oh, you can't draw your eyebrows like that? It's my character. I can do whatever I want.
It's the ultimate form of self-expression.
Just before we wrap up, Betty, you're known for your eccentric hair. I see today we are in green. Normally it's blue or platinum. Is that just part of the character, or was it something that you purposefully set out to do as a differentiating factor?
It was when I just started drag years ago. I called myself Bernice, which sounds as sad as she looked. I tried to be like all the other queens, tried to look like a woman. And I'm not built like a woman. I don't have the facial features as a woman. So it was a major fail. Fast forward a year later, it was 2000 Joburg Pride. I thought, I need a reinvention. And I took a just plain brown wig and I teased it into oblivion. I spray painted it blue with hardware spray paint, put some glitter in with blue glitter lips, a blue sequins dress, blue eyeshadow. I was blue.
She was a Smurf.
And as I walked out, one of my friends, actually, that's where my name came from, like we know, the gay slang for police is Betty Bangles. And as I walked out with all the blue, my friend said, like, "You're a Betty Bangles, kyk hoe lyk jy." And that's where it started. And since then, that's my signature. It's just big hair.
And it's always sequins.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that a rule?
It's not a rule,
not a
but
rule,
it
no.
just looks better.
With all the light.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
I love
Thank
this
you.
conversation. There's a lot of myths that have been answered in some ways. But yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so
Such
much
a
for having
pleasure.
us.
Thank you. Guys, we are so excited. We have the gorgeous and the lovely Dulcie with us today. Dulcie, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Okay, hi Lulu and Betty.
Hi.
Thanks for having me here. My name is Dulcie. I'm a medical doctor by training.
Okay.
Yes, so I'm a social entrepreneur. I run a network of medical centers. It's called Quad Care. It's quality, accessibility, and dignity. So
Wow.
that is what the type of service we are about is all about. So I think part of the reason I'm here is to talk about the other organization that I have co-founded and I'm an executive director of, which
Okay.
is Queerwell.
Queerwell. Okay,
Yes.
fantastic.
Okay. So what is Queerwell?
So Queerwell is an NPO. It's an organization whose passion is providing access to mental health care services for the LGBTI population. So because I think part of the reason we started the organization was seeing that people are not accessing mental health services because of either cost, because of lack of knowledge, either they are in the rural areas or in the townships where those type of services are just, not available at all.
Right.
Even if they are in the towns, because of cost, they may not be able to access. But one of the biggest barriers being provider attitudes. What do people go through when they go to a mental health practitioner and say, I am trans, I am gay, I am lesbian, what prejudices do they have to deal with? That is why we started the organization.
And I also think that, especially in rural areas, people don't know that there's help.
Exactly.
out there.
There's a lot
Exactly.
of stigma associated with mental health care conditions. There's a lot of it being reduced to witchcraft, or that person is just crazy,
Right.
or that person just needs to stop drinking and they'll be fine, or something like that.
So I'm sure there's a lot of stigma attached to that
Exactly.
as
So
well.
a lot of the work we do is education, more than just the
Right.
counseling, going into the communities and just having workshops and teaching different stakeholders in the communities.
Yeah. And that was going to be my second question. So this amazing outreach that you're doing, and I'm sure you're touching a lot of lives in a very positive way. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I think you kind of touched on that, but how does Queerwell support the LGBTQ plus
Okay.
community?
All right. So firstly, it's with the education sessions
Right.
where we would host the workshops. We also then contract mental health care practitioners that are either part of the community or sensitized. So we will not refer you to a mental health care practitioner unless we know for sure this is someone who is with us, who understands what we are about, who understands the challenges. Also, because of COVID, we've learned to use technology, so we are able to reach, a much wider audience. Now we host weekly online sessions where we have different topics: depression, anxiety, substance abuse, what people deal with in their families, raising children as a queer couple, all the different topics. We have those once a week, and we have people from across Africa now attending. We have people logging in from Nigeria, Kenya to be
Wow.
part of this session. So
That's
we,
incredible. That's
that's the work that we do. Yes.
That is so amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for explaining how your company is including.
Yes.
But is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up? Is there
All right.
anything
I
else
think
you-
maybe also just to introduce what the Quad Care health services
Okay, cool.
look like. Because for me, like as a lesbian woman, I've seen what I went through when I went to consult the doctor for different things, when I was still a student. So part of the decision behind setting up this network of medical centers was to create medical centers that are safe spaces. Because I believe if one goes out of their way to create a safe space for the vulnerable, they become a safe space, for everyone else. So trans people know they can come to us and get hormones, and that is why we'd have patients from as far as Mozambique, Lesotho coming to us, because in the areas that they are from, there's either like discrimination or just lack of provider knowledge on what trans healthcare looks like. So that's one of the areas that I'm very passionate about, providing trans healthcare, from the counseling to the hormones to recommendations for surgery, to going to surgeons and say, hey, you charge 100,000 for this. If I bring you 10 people, will you agree to charge them 20K? You know, so that those are the type of work that I do, and based on that work, I was voted Queer Warrior 2020. So
Well done.
congratulations.
Well done.
so I should
And you know what? You are a queer warrior.
yeah,
So thank you so
and
much.
the recognition is only coming now, but this is work of many ages, and just going out there and doing the
Right.
work and being passionate about it.
Well, this is it. You're passionate about your cause. You will continue to work.
Yes.
And this is how and why you're reaping the rewards that you are. I'm very passionate about trans people. I think they've had the worst deal
Exactly.
ever.
Yes.
And I'm excited to see what your company does in the future. So
Awesome.
congratulations,
Thank
and
you
thank you
so
so
much.
much for talking to us
Thank you
today.
for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dulcie.
Awesome.
Hi, Eddie. It's Lulu. How are you?
Hey, I'm good and you?
Well, thank you.
Hi, AB. Betty here.
Hi Betty, are you well?
I'm very well, thank you.
We're so excited to talk to you today.
Oh, that's great, that's great. It's a pity that we have to talk in this way, but technology enables us to connect anyway.
Absolutely.
In spite of the difficulty in connecting face to face.
Absolutely.
true.
Well, great to meet you virtually.
Thank you very much.
So tell me a bit, how important is diversity to you, and what value does it bring?
Well, Mercedes-Benz, if I start at that level, we're a global company. We operate that literally in all the regions of the world. So just by virtue of how we are structured, we are a diverse organization, and we know the value that we derive from being in these diverse markets. But if I bring it closer to home in South Africa, we, more than anyone else, know pretty well how diverse we are. I mean, look at the 11 official languages that we have. We're a very diverse nation, and we are much stronger as a nation in our diversity. So for us, as Mercedes-Benz South Africa, diversity and inclusion are a critical part of how we go about doing our business. You would say that they form a critical element of our DNA, and that's why in all that we do, we embrace the diversity that we have, whether it's cultural, whether it's racial, whether it's the sexual orientation, whether it's religious. We embrace all the diverse groupings that we have within our organization, and in that way, we become a much stronger organization. So, evidenced by a number of things that we do, such as how we are driving our employment equity program, which I see as being something that exceeds just the usual or the normal compliance with legislation. For us, it's about one of those vehicles that we use to embrace diversity and to embrace inclusion. So it's a very, very important element of how we do business, very, very critical value that we subscribe to as an organization, and at a personal level, a value which means a lot more to me, having witnessed how bringing the diverse nation or diversity of our nation, bringing people from diverse groupings, how that enriches our conversations and how that enriches what we are trying to do in building a stronger MBSA, but also building a stronger South African nation.
That's fantastic. I think you're setting a great example for other companies as well.
Absolutely, yeah. That was so beautifully put. Thank you so much. And what is Mercedes-Benz doing to make sure that people feel included?
Well, as I said, there are a number of initiatives that we run, and there are a number of programs that we have put in place. Firstly, if I look at our employment equity program as a case in point, this is not just about ticking the boxes, to comply with the law, but it's really about having realized the value of having every one of us from diverse groupings. So the way in which we run our employment program, the way in which we bring people into our transformation forums, whether here in East London or the forums that we have in Pretoria, they include diverse groupings of people. And that's how we enrich our conversations, and that's how we enrich the work that we are doing to try and build a strong organization. So that's the first one. Secondly, a month of September, for example, is an important month for us, where we celebrate the heritage of our nation in South Africa. A number of things that we do, between the two locations, to celebrate the heritage, and then to celebrate also the diverse heritage that we have as different groupings, and to really demonstrate that in our diversity, we are a lot stronger. Thirdly, we have partnered with the Pride movement, and this is something that I'm very, very passionate about, because one of the groupings of our society that most of the time doesn't get as recognized as it should is our LGBTQ community. And our participation in the Johannesburg Pride last year and our participation this year demonstrates the value that we ascribe to the LGBTIQ community, but also importantly, the value that we ascribe to, come on guys, let's remove these barriers that we have in our eyes. They are part of us, we are part of them. There is no them and us, they're part of us. It's a community.
Right.
And it's part really of our embracing of the value of diversity and inclusion in totality. So that's why we participate in the Pride. And it's a pity this year we can't do what we did last year, but it was a great experience for me to be there last year, and it was a great experience for my team to see how we celebrate the pride that we have in our diversity.
Oh, that's great. Great answer. Thank you so much. So it's equal representation for all.
Yeah.
And would you
absolutely.
That's great, yeah. And would you say the leadership team is committed to diversity?
Absolutely. If I look at the way in which we as leaders participate in our transformation forums and how we show up in the conversations about measures to increase our levels of diversity and inclusion, it really demonstrates a leadership team that is committed and a leadership team that is driving diversity and inclusion in their own divisions or in their own sections of the organization. So the point I was making is the leadership team is definitely committed to driving diversity and inclusion. As I said earlier on, this is a value that we embrace both here locally in South Africa, but within the global organization. So, evidenced by, amongst others, leaders showing up, participating in the transformation forums, leaders driving diversity and inclusion within their respective divisions, and leaders taking every step possible to ensure that we continue to have as diverse an organization as possible, and that we, building this diverse organization, are able to build a stronger organization. We can never succeed without really embracing the diversity that we have within our own organization, within our nation of South Africa, and within our global organization of Daimler.
That's good to hear, because a lot of the time big companies have ideas or ideals that they want to strive for, but it doesn't always filter through to smaller branches.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Absolutely.
very often it's just lip service, but what you're doing is clearly making a difference, and we do appreciate that as part of the LGBTQI community. One last question from us before we wrap up. When it comes to your recruitment process, how are you supporting a diverse culture?
Well, one of the values that we definitely have entrenched in our recruitment program is that we promote equal opportunity, and we do not select people based on whatever orientation that they may have, whether it's sexual, whether it's religious, whether it's cultural, it doesn't matter. The primary focus is here are a set of criteria which we need people to comply with, and irrespective of whatever orientation that people have, they will be considered. So we also, as I said earlier on, that we have embedded diversity and inclusion in all that we do is part of our DNA. So when I'm recruiting, I'm looking for talent, I'm looking for people who will be able to add tremendous value to this organization, irrespective of who they are, irrespective of their color, irrespective of their creed. I'm just looking for human beings that are as excited as I am about working for this organization, and human beings that are as committed as I am, and as committed as the rest of us are about ensuring that we continue to have a diverse and inclusive approach to how we go about doing our business.
Fantastic. So passion, compassion, and a beautiful skill set makes the dream team, right?
Absolutely, and you've just hit it on the nail on the head there. And passion is one of the things that drive us. So when we go about looking for people, how passionate are they? And yes, indeed, how compassionate are they? And we demonstrate that, by the way, in having our teams getting involved in a number of community enhancement or community development initiatives of their own accord. And it really is driven by the passion that people have working for this organization and the compassionate nature of Team MBSA.
Fantastic. Well, you'll get my CV tomorrow. It's been wonderful chatting to you about this very, very important topic of inclusion and diversity. So thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you, AB.
Thank you very much. And I wish you a fantastic Joburg Pride 2020. Yes, it's going to be virtual. Unfortunately, we're not able to all be in Joburg. It's going to be virtual, but it will be a fantastic one.
Thank you.
We'll be following you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Okay.
Bye, Andy.
Cheers. Bye.
Hi, everyone. This is Lulu Blue.
And Betty Bangles.
And today we're talking about inclusion and diversity.
And with us today is Busi and Carl from Transafrica and Vodacom.
Yes. How are you guys doing?
Awesome.
It's lovely to have you with us. Because we're going to have some important conversations today, right?
Definitely.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, what's your involvement? Daar kom my boeremeisie uit. What's your involvement with Pride?
Okay, so for me, I'm from Transafrica Radio, as you rightfully introduced me. We are a partner of Pride. We are an online and satellite radio station that has chosen to become part of the Pride movement, and we assist in creating awareness of LGBTQI community across the African continent.
Okay.
Beautiful. The world is changing and you're changing along with it, so that's fantastic. So the question I want to ask you is, what are you doing to make sure that everyone feels included when it comes to your business?
Well, by virtue of being a partner of Pride, I think that is a first start, because sometimes it's well and good to talk about diversity. It's another to do it, to actually show that you are really indeed into the importance of diversity. And when it comes to diversity is a whole lot of things. Diversity is not just focusing on the LGBTQI community. It could be diversity in race, it could be diversity in gender, it could be diversity in where you actually come from, disability. So it's very important to do and really be exemplary in the manner in which that you operate. And why is it important? For me, diversity brings about the ability to get different perspectives.
Right.
And when you are in an environment where we all think the same, innovation does not happen as quickly as when you're in an environment where people have different opinions and different ideas and a different outlook on life.
Right. And it's all about perspective. I'm going to ask the same question of you, Carl. What have you got to say for yourself?
Well, as you mentioned, it's now from Vodacom. So I've worked for Vodacom for the last 15 years.
Wow.
And of those 15 years, I have been the chair of the LGBT network at Vodacom for the past 6 years.
Wow.
And we're obviously trying to drive diversity and inclusion, not only from an employer point of view. So Vodacom is a top South African employer of LGBT people, as seen in SAWA, South African Workplace Equality Index. But also just, we want to be that role model company for other brands to hopefully, bring that diversity to their company as well. And to people that work for them as, in the smaller company, so to speak. So diversity, I think, just going back to what we just said, is definitely about bringing, it's about bringing different pots of flavor, if you can call it that, to our environment, because we are in an environment where we're a tech company and we are trying to innovate all the time. And it's about people at the end of the day. What we always say is, your company is only as good as the people that work there. The company, yes, is a brand and there's a value to that brand, but people actually get up every morning and come to the office and make that brand and then make that company a success or not a success. And if people can't feel like they're themselves or can't bring their authentic self to the workplace, why would they bring innovation or bring any new ideas to that business or, help that company thrive?
Exactly.
So we try and really drive that internally, as I said, and then also externally, trying to get other companies to think about what are we doing to make our employees feel welcome and bring their best self to the workplace.
Right. So you're both creating an environment where people can do their best work because they can bring their best selves to work, right?
Absolutely.
Love that.
Yeah.
And would you say that people in leadership roles at Vodacom are aware of and committed to diversity?
I do think so. Just as an example that I can give you, fairly recently, it was in the news actually. I don't know if you guys saw it. If you haven't, you can look it up after this. One of the things that I brought when I became the chair of the network, to the network and to the leadership of Vodacom was, we need to really look at our policies because we can't. There's a brand, as I said, and you can say, oh, look, we've got a colourful logo, we support Pride, but if you're not actually doing things for your employees that make a difference, your employees are going to go, okay, you've got a logo, but what are you doing for me when I come to work every day? And we started looking at our policies to say, how can we work from the ground up and make sure that the organization is inclusive, and then go and talk about, being excited about it with the brand. And from a leadership point of view, we looked at policies like our leave policy, and I said, what happens if somebody has, let's say it's an LGBT male, and they have a surrogate bringing a child into the world? How do we cater for them from a leave point of view? Because when that child is born, as part of the surrogacy laws, it goes directly to the father.
Absolutely.
He has to now bond with the child, change the child's nappies, feed it, and now you're going to give him 2 weeks of paternity leave versus 6 months at the time, which we were giving female
It's actually 10
staff.
days.
Yeah.
Not
So
even
we worked on things like that, and
That's incredible.
we recently introduced our brand new policy where, regardless of sexual orientation, gender, disability, race, or anything like that, which that was never really a question before, but now it's very much steered towards the LGBTQ community. You will get 4 months of paid leave, whether you're male or female in Vodacom. If it's an adoption, if it's a surrogate, if it's your own child,
Right.
you will get that 4 months of paid leave.
That's exemplary. That's super impressive.
So that's just something that I think, we're trying to make people feel included that way, because that way, as an LGBT staff member, you get the same treatment as heterosexual staff member, and there's no, we can't point a finger, oh, you're a man and you're not going to get this because everyone gets the same.
Right. Love that. That's absolutely love that. Yeah, fantastic. When it comes to your recruitment efforts for both of your companies, how are you making sure that you've got the inclusion and the diversity?
So from our perspective, from a radio perspective, it's all about the talent and being able to do radio. So I'm not necessarily going to throw you in the deep end and have you do a show because you so happen to be black female.
Right.
So that talent is important. However, we are open. We've had situations where I have been asked, how are you able to support Pride, taking into consideration that not all African countries are embracing of the LGBTQI community? Are you not concerned about you losing that listener who is in some of these countries that are not necessarily open to the community? And my answer was that means they are not part of my tribe. They shouldn't be listening because that's not who we are. So it is important, obviously, for us to make sure that we recruit the right people.
Right.
And if they happen to be gay, lesbian, queer, they're good, they come through.
Love that.
Fantastic. Just lastly, because you throughout Africa,
Yes.
do you sometimes get that there's not fight, but like people that's against your station? And have you noticed that there's some change happening with those type of people?
Yeah, I think the first year that we actually partnered with Pride, and the Joburg Pride will attest to that, it was quite interesting to see that there were a lot of people that were coming from those African countries that are not really accommodating. And they came to Pride, some of them incognito, others sent emails
Awesome.
and support. So there is the change. Look, I always say particularly, I have an aunt who believes that being in the community is something that you can pray against, and somebody can
Pray
change.
away.
Yeah, pray away.
Right.
And I've said to her, who makes a decision to live a life like that, knowing
Absolutely.
It's going to be extremely
the
tough.
trouble
Oh,
that
thank you for
comes
saying that.
with
It's
it?
so true. So true.
I'm a straight woman, but I can't imagine putting myself in a position where I now want to find myself being laughed at, being shunned, being so
And guilt.
yeah, and guilt. So the point I'm trying to make here is that there is no change. The community exists, whether you are in Nigeria, in Zambia, in Tanzania, in Uganda, in South Africa, in Lesotho, the community is there. For as long as straight people participate in creating awareness that Kyle is just another human being. Because it's well and good for the community to say, listen to us. But it's more powerful when somebody who is not part of the community, and I say that very loosely because we are all one community, but when a person who's outside of the community is in support, then I believe that goes a long way. Vodacom doing this is sending a very strong message.
Right.
This is not because this is done by a community of the LGBTQI community. It is Vodacom, the brand.
Right.
So that actually makes a huge difference.
We always say brand with a purpose, and we
Well,
want
there
to
you
have
go.
a purpose. We're
Yeah.
purpose led. We do things to create a better world, or for other people, whoever they may be. So yeah, brand with a purpose. That's our big mantra.
That's
We love
wonderful.
that. We love that. Well, we call people like you straight allies, and we salute you for the work that you're doing. Kyle, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I think a lot of companies have done a lot of really great work,
Right.
and it's really amazing. A lot of brands that are not here today, they're not necessarily being represented. So it's not only Vodacom, but there's still a lot of work to do. And I think it's being part of a big organization like Vodacom. We're very lucky that our leaders do take it very seriously. But we also have a responsibility to the community and to smaller companies to assist them. So I would appeal to those brands out there that are doing really amazing work. Don't stop what you're doing, but also think about other companies and see how you can assist them as well.
Right.
And take that purpose-led thinking out further beyond your organization and
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
see more.
Well, if the big companies take the steps, the little ones will follow.
Yeah. So there you go.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what we
So-
want.
So thank you for being the pioneers, and we salute you both. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So Kay, Pride's going to be a little different this year. We're not gathering, right? So what is it going to look like?
Yes, Africa's most well-established, well-attended Pride event will not be as we grew accustomed to it. It will still take place on the 31st of October, but due to all the COVID regulations and the year that we've had, we are standing in solidarity with the global community. And what we're doing is a virtual event on the 31st of October, live streaming from Babylon, the Joburg bar. And we're having a limited number of availability in Illovo News. So there's quite a few. It's a pink strip per se, where you can access bars and the clubs and just with social distancing and all the right protocols in place, to give us a little bit of a sense of community, because ultimately Johannesburg Pride, the march is a very big component, and it's the essence of the event. The celebrations are a byproduct. The essence of it has always been the march. And what we have seen over the last few years is that march has grown in terms of numbers of feet. And we've managed to create quite a nice vibe. It still remains an open invitation to all. So come and take a stride with the difference in 2020.
Love it. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.